All right, I'll admit it. Sometimes when my phone acts up, I think, maybe I can fix this myself. With a paperclip, a prayer, a little luck.
You and me both.
But seriously, today we're diving deep into the world of the people who actually possess those magical repair powers, mobile device technicians.
They really are like magicians, aren't they?
And to guide us on this journey, we're using some insights from RoleCatcher, this really cool career development platform.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them. They've got all sorts of great resources.
Exactly. They're like the Gandalf of career advice.
Wow.
Wise, powerful, and they probably have a staff too.
Haha, maybe. But in all seriousness, when it comes to mobile device technicians, there's way more to it than meets the eye.
Right. It's not just about replacing cracked screens anymore.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. These days, mobile devices are practically miniature computers.
It's true. They're so powerful now. It's kind of mind-blowing.
So the technicians who work on them, they're becoming like the surgeons of the tech world.
Surgeons, that's a great analogy, because they're dealing with increasingly intricate hardware and software. Okay, so RoleCatcher gets really into the weeds on what these tech surgeons actually do on a daily basis. Like, what's their typical day look like?
It's fascinating stuff.
And one thing that really stood out to me was they have to diagnose problems. Like, why is your phone suddenly speaking in whale noises? That's what they figure out.
That's hilarious. I've never heard of that happening, but I can only imagine.
Right. And then on top of that, they handle repairs. And we're not just talking smartphones here. Tablets, laptops, you name it.
It's amazing how much this field has grown. It seems like there's a new device out every week.
I know, right? And each one is more complex than the last.
Which is why mobile device technicians are in such high demand right now. The industry needs people who can keep up with this constant evolution.
It's true. RoleCatcher actually highlighted that in their pros and cons list.
Oh, tell me more about that. I'm curious.
Well, it's kind of a mixed bag. On the plus side, the job market is hot, hot, hot for these skills. Salaries are super competitive, and you get to see and work on the coolest tech before anyone else.
That's a pretty sweet perk, I have to say.
For sure. But of course, no job is perfect. RoleCatcher is pretty upfront about the challenges, too.
Yeah, like what?
Well, for starters, it's fast-paced. Like, really fast-paced. You're juggling multiple repairs, dealing with impatient customers. And then there's the potential for long hours.
I can see that, especially when everyone's relying on their devices more and more these days.
Totally. And then there's the elephant in the room, the frequent exposure to potentially harmful radiation thing. They actually list that as a con.
Right. That's definitely not something to take lightly. It's a good reminder that safety protocols are absolutely essential in this line of work.
100%. Proper training, strict protocols, those are non-negotiable. So maybe not a job for the faint of heart or those who are scared of a soldering iron.
Yeah, you got to be able to handle the heat, literally.
But for those who love a good challenge, who get a thrill from bringing tech back from the brink of disaster, this could be their dream job.
Totally. So it's not just about being good with your hands, though.
Oh, absolutely not. In fact, RoleCatcher made a really interesting point about that.
No.
They said that customer service skills are just as important as technical skills in this field.
That makes sense. You're dealing with people who are often stressed out because their precious device isn't working.
Right. Their whole world is in that little rectangle of metal and glass.
Exactly. So being able to empathize, explain things clearly, and keep your cool under pressure, those are essential skills for a mobile device technician.
You got to be part tech whiz, part therapist, maybe even part magician.
It's true. You're like a tech whisperer, calming those device-induced anxieties.
And speaking of anxieties, I'm getting a little anxious just thinking about all the different things mobile device technicians need to know.
Right. And RoleCatcher really breaks down the specific skills and knowledge required for this career path. Like, did you know that customer and personal service make up a whopping 56% of the skills needed?
Wow, 56%. That's huge. But it also makes sense, given what we were just talking about.
It does. And right alongside those people skills, you've got the technical chops, which are obviously crucial.
Absolutely. Like, how much do you need to know about computers and electronics?
Hold on to your hat, because according to RoleCatcher, it's a solid 76%.
76%. No wonder these guys are in such high demand. But it's not all about circuits and motherboards, right?
Nope. Remember that mechanical aspect we touched upon earlier?
Oh, right, because you're actually getting in there, hands-on, fixing those tiny components.
Precisely. It's delicate work that requires a lot of precision and patience. In fact, RoleCatcher found that this mechanical side of things accounts for about 55% of the skills needed.
Okay, so I'm trying to picture myself with these tiny tweezers trying to reattach a microscopic resistor or something.
It's definitely not for the clumsy.
No kidding. Suddenly my desk job doesn't seem so bad.
Well, there are definitely pros and cons to every career path.
True, but this whole specialization thing within mobile device technician work, that's super interesting.
Absolutely. You can really carve out your own niche in this field.
Right. RoleCatcher gave some cool examples, like you could become the ultimate smartphone screen resurrector, the person who can fix any crack, no matter how bad.
I think I know someone who needs that superpower, actually.
Don't we all? Or you could specialize in data recovery. Like, you're the one who swoops in to save the day when someone accidentally deletes their entire photo library.
Talk about a high-pressure situation, but also incredibly rewarding when you succeed.
Right. And then there's the brand-specific route. You could become the go-to guru for all things Samsung or Apple, for example.
It's like choosing your tech destiny.
I like that. But one thing's for sure, no matter what you specialize in, the learning never really stops in this field.
It's true. New models, new software updates, new technologies. It's a constant evolution.
Which is actually kind of exciting, right? It's not a stagnant field at all. You're constantly challenged and learning new things.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so rewarding. Okay, let's talk about those 4 career stages RoleCatcher outlines. Entry level, junior, intermediate, and senior.
Yeah, it's like they've mapped out the levels of tech mastery. They even give you real-life examples of what each stage looks like, like what you'd actually be doing on the job.
It's super helpful, especially if you're trying to figure out where you might fit in.
Okay, so let's say I'm fresh out of tech school, eager to impress, but also terrified of, like, frying a motherboard or something. What would my day-to-day look like as an entry-level technician?
Well, according to RoleCatcher, you'd probably start with the basics. Assisting those more senior technicians, familiarizing yourself with different device models, doing a lot of component testing.
So really building that solid foundation.
Exactly. And developing those essential hands-on skills.
Gotcha. So kind of like an apprenticeship in a way.
In a way, yeah. But as you gain more experience and confidence, you'd move up to that junior technician level.
And what does that look like?
Well, this is where you start taking on more responsibility. You'd be doing more independent troubleshooting, maybe even interacting directly with customers.
Oh, okay. So this is where those communication skills really come into play.
Oh, 100%.
Huh.
Being able to explain those technical issues in a way that makes sense to someone who's not a tech expert, that's crucial.
It's a skill in itself.
Totally. And as you progress to intermediate technician, you'd be tackling even more complex repairs.
So the challenges keep getting bigger and better.
Exactly.
Huh.
You might be researching recurring issues, even mentoring some of those junior technicians, sharing all the tips and tricks you picked up along the way.
So you get to be the tech mentor, passing on the wisdom.
That's right. But eventually, if you stick with it, you can reach the peak, the pinnacle, senior mobile device technician.
All right, time to break out the confetti. What does life at the top of the tech repair mountain look like?
Well, according to RoleCatcher, you'd be the one leading the charge when it comes to diagnosis and repair.
So like the head surgeon in the operating room.
Exactly. You're leading and mentoring your team.
Wow. But it's not just about fixing phones at that point, right?
No, you'd be collaborating with other teams, solving really complex problems, maybe even helping to develop training programs for other technicians.
That's incredible. So not just technical skills, but leadership skills too.
Absolutely. Strategic thinking, the ability to motivate and inspire others. It's a big job.
It sounds like it. Okay, so we've talked about the skills, the challenges, the different career stages. But before we get ahead of ourselves and start polishing our resumes,
We should probably talk about the elephant in the room, right?
the job interview. Because let's be real, even for the most qualified candidates, interviews can be nerve-wracking.
Oh, tell me about it. But you know what's interesting? RoleCatcher actually has some amazing interview prep tools.
Really? Like what?
Well, they have this massive database of over 120,000 interview questions.
120,000. Are you serious? That's insane.
I know, right? And the cool thing is these questions are tailored to specific careers and skills. So you're not just getting generic interview advice.
Mhm.
You're getting insights into what hiring managers in the tech industry are actually looking for.
So it's like having a secret weapon, basically.
Exactly.
But they don't just throw questions at you.
Nope. They have this really cool AI-powered platform that analyzes your responses and gives you personalized feedback.
Whoa, an AI interview coach.
Pretty much. It can even analyze your body language if you record a video of yourself answering the questions.
That's so cool.
I know, right? It's like having a personal coach in your pocket.
Ah.
But what I found really helpful were the sample questions they provide. They really give you a sense of the types of things you might be asked in a mobile device technician interview.
Oh, that's so helpful. Do you remember any examples?
Let me see. Here's one. Describe a time you had to troubleshoot a technical problem under pressure. What was the situation, and how did you handle it?
Oof, that's a tough one, especially if you're prone to getting flustered under pressure.
It is, but that's the whole point, right? It's about being able to think clearly and solve problems, even when things get a little crazy.
Makes sense. Okay, what else?
Here's another one. How do you stay up to date on the latest technology and repair techniques?
That's a good one. Because this field moves so fast, you really do need to be constantly learning.
Exactly. So they're not just testing your technical knowledge, they also want to see that you're passionate and curious about the field.
So be prepared to talk about your love of tech.
Definitely. And your willingness to adapt and learn new things.
Those are definitely important qualities. Okay, this is all so helpful.
Right. RoleCatcher really has thought of everything.
They really have.
And speaking of thinking of everything, we haven't even touched on the ethical side of this field yet.
Oh, yeah, that's a really important point. Because we're talking about devices that hold so much personal information, right?
Exactly. Photos, messages, even financial data. It's a huge responsibility for a mobile device technician.
It is, and RoleCatcher doesn't shy away from that. They actually dedicate a whole section in their guide to the ethics of mobile device repair.
They do. I'm impressed.
Me too. They talk about the importance of transparency, like having a clear data handling policy so customers know exactly what information is being accessed during a repair.
That's so important
Yeah.
because people need to be able to trust the person who's handling their devices.
Absolutely. And it's not just about data privacy either. They also talk about the importance of ethically sourcing parts.
That's a really good point. We don't want to be contributing to any shady business practices.
Right. And of course, there's the environmental impact to consider as well. E-waste is a huge problem, and conscientious technicians will always prioritize repair over replacement whenever possible.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between keeping our devices running smoothly and being mindful of our impact on the planet.
It's like they're not just technicians, they're also kind of like guardians of our digital lives and our environment.
I like that. It adds a whole other layer to this already fascinating career path.
It does, so maybe they do deserve those superhero capes after all.
Maybe so. But seriously, I think what really resonates with me about all of this is the human element.
Oh, absolutely. Because in the end, it's not just about the technology, is it?
It's about using your skills and knowledge to help people,
Mm.
to solve problems, to make their lives easier, even if it's just by fixing a cracked screen.
Right. It's about those little moments of connection, those feelings of relief and gratitude when you're able to fix something that's really important to someone.
Exactly. And that's what makes this career path so rewarding, I think.
I agree. It's not just a job. It's about making a real difference in people's lives.
And with technology becoming more and more integrated into our daily lives, I think the role of the mobile device technician is only going to become more important in the future.
I think you're right. We're already so reliant on our devices. Imagine what it'll be like in 5, 10 years.
It's hard to even imagine.
It really is.
But one thing's for sure, it's going to be an exciting time to be a mobile device technician.
Absolutely. So for all you tech enthusiasts out there, if you're looking for a career that's challenging, rewarding, and always evolving,
Mobile device technician might just be your calling.
I think so too. And if you're feeling inspired and want to learn more, definitely check out RoleCatcher. They've got a ton of great information on their website.
They do. They're a fantastic resource for anyone who's interested in this career path.
And on that note, I think we need to take a quick break to recharge our own batteries. When we come back, we'll dive even deeper into the world of mobile device technicians.
Sounds good to me.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
Welcome back, tech fans. We're back in the lab, so to speak, dissecting the career path of a mobile device technician. And wow, there's a lot to unpack.
I know, right? It's way more complex than I even realized. Totally. Okay, so last time we were talking about those 4 career stages that RoleCatcher outlines.
Oh yeah, the entry level, junior, intermediate, and senior. Kind of like those belts you get in martial arts.
Haha, I like that analogy. So for our listeners who are just starting out on their tech journey, let's break down that first stage, entry-level technician.
What's it really like to be in that role?
Right, because it's easy to romanticize it, but what are you actually doing day to day?
Well, RoleCatcher describes it as a really hands-on learning experience. Think of it like you're in boot camp, but for tech repair.
Okay, boot camp. Intense.
Exactly. You're learning from the pros, assisting with repairs, getting familiar with all the tools.
So lots of shadowing, asking questions, maybe making a few mistakes along the way.
Oh, definitely. Everyone makes mistakes, especially when you're first starting out. The important thing is to learn from them, right?
For sure. So what you're saying is it's about building that solid foundation.
Exactly. Because once you have that foundation, you can start to take on more challenging tasks.
Which brings us to the next level, junior technician.
Dun, dun, dun. Level up.
Huh. So what's different at this stage? What are some of the new challenges and opportunities?
Well, at this level, you're starting to flex those diagnostic muscles.
Oh, you mean like actually figuring out what's wrong with the device?
Exactly. No more just following instructions. You're the one who has to figure out why a phone's battery is draining faster than a kid in a candy store.
Uh-huh. Okay, I like that analogy.
Right. It requires a different way of thinking.
So it's not just about knowing how to fix things, it's about knowing how to identify the problem in the first place.
Exactly. And this is also where those communication skills really come in handy, because you're likely going to be interacting more with customers at this stage.
Makes sense. Because you have to be able to explain those technical things in a way that someone who's not a tech expert can understand.
Exactly. Like you can't just be like, well, your motherboard is fried.
Right. You have to be able to break it down, explain what that actually means, and what the options are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And do it with a smile, even if the customer is freaking out because they can't live without their phone for 5 minutes.
Oh, I know those people. Okay, so let's say you've mastered the art of tech translation. You're fixing phones left and right, and you're ready for the next challenge. What does life look like as an intermediate technician?
This is where things start to get really interesting, in my opinion.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, at this level, you're not just fixing things, you're starting to really understand the intricacies of how these devices work.
So you're like the mobile device whisperer. You can hear them whispering their secrets.
Something like that.
Uh,
But seriously, you're the one who's called in when the junior technicians are stumped.
Ooh, you're like the fixer.
Exactly. You're leading those complex repairs, diving deep into the circuitry, even mentoring those junior technicians. You're sharing the knowledge, paying it forward.
I love that. It's like you become part of this tech family, supporting each other, learning from each other.
It really is.
Yeah.
And you might even start to specialize at this level. Like maybe you're the go-to person for intricate soldering work. Or maybe you become the data recovery guru, the one who can recover those precious photos and messages that everyone thought were gone forever.
Oh, wow. That would be amazing. Talk about job satisfaction.
Right. Knowing that you've helped someone recover something so important to them.
That's incredible. Okay, so now we're at the top of the mountain. Senior mobile device technician.
The Jedi Master of the tech world.
Haha, I like it. So what are the responsibilities like at this level?
Well, think of it like this. You're not just fixing phones anymore. You're overseeing the entire repair process for your team, mentoring and training other technicians.
So leadership skills become even more important at this level.
Oh, absolutely. You're not just leading by example anymore. You're the one setting the standard, motivating your team, making sure everyone is on the same page.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility.
It is. But it's also incredibly rewarding. Because you're not just impacting the lives of your customers anymore. You're impacting the lives of your team members as well.
That's a really good point. It's about fostering those skills, helping other people grow and succeed in their careers.
Exactly. And let's not forget, you're probably making a pretty penny at this point, too.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room, money. Because obviously, salary is a big factor when choosing a career path.
Of course. And the good news is, mobile device technicians are in high demand, which means salaries are very competitive.
Music to our ears. But I'm sure it varies a lot depending on experience, location, all of that.
Totally. But let's give our listeners a general idea. RoleCatcher says that entry-level technicians, you're probably looking at a starting salary somewhere in the range of, let's say, mention a starting salary range.
Okay, that's not bad at all, especially for a job that you can get with just a certification or an associate's degree.
Right. And then, as you gain experience, those numbers go up. Like a seasoned senior technician with those specialized skills, we're talking upwards of, mention a higher salary range.
Wow, that's a nice chunk of change.
It is. And don't forget about those sweet, sweet benefits.
Oh yeah, the perks.
Because a lot of companies offer health insurance, paid time off, and some even have retirement plans.
Sign me up. Okay, so we've established that mobile device technicians can earn a good living. But let's be real, this job isn't for everyone.
It definitely takes a certain type of person to thrive in this field.
So, what would you say are some of the personality traits that are well suited for this kind of work?
Well, first and foremost, you've got to have that love of technology. That curiosity about how things work, that desire to take things apart and put them back together.
So, basically, all those kids who are constantly taking apart their parents' electronics.
Exactly. Those are the natural-born mobile device technicians. But beyond that, you need patience. Lots and lots of patience.
Because not every repair is going to be easy, right?
Oh, absolutely not. Some repairs can be incredibly frustrating. You might spend hours trying to track down a problem, and sometimes you won't even be able to fix it.
Oh, no. So, you have to be okay with failing sometimes.
You do. But it's not really failing. It's more like learning.
That's a good way to look at it. And it
Yeah.
probably takes a lot of perseverance, too. That ability to keep going even when things get tough.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because trust me, there will be times when you want to throw in the towel.
I can only imagine. Okay, so we've got patience, perseverance, a love of technology. Anything else?
Well, I think good communication skills are really important too. Remember, you're going to be interacting with customers who are often stressed out and frustrated.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And you have to be able to explain things to them in a way that they can understand, even if they're not tech savvy at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're someone who enjoys helping people and solving problems, that's another great sign that this might be the right career path for you.
Okay, those are some really helpful insights. And I think this is a good place to pause and reflect. When we come back, we'll delve into the essential skills and qualifications for becoming a mobile device technician, and we'll even share some insider tips on how to ace that job interview. Don't go anywhere. All right, techies and tech-curious folks. We're in the final stretch of our deep dive into the world of mobile device technicians, and you know me, I like to save the best for last.
Oh, I like where this is going. What's got you so excited?
Well, we've talked about the skills, the career path, the salary potential, but there's one more thing that RoleCatcher really emphasizes that I think is super important.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Hit me with it.
It's the ethical side of things.
Ah, yes. The ethics of mobile device repair. It's something that's often overlooked, but it's so crucial.
Right, because we're not just talking about fixing posters here. We're talking about devices that hold our entire lives.
Mhm.
Our photos, our messages, our bank info, everything.
Exactly. And that's a lot of responsibility for a mobile device technician. They have access to some incredibly sensitive information.
So how do we know our data is safe with them? What's stopping them from, scrolling through our photos while they're fixing our cracked screen?
Well, that's where those ethical guidelines come in. A reputable technician will have a clear data handling policy.
Okay, so a set of rules they follow to make sure our information stays private.
Exactly. They'll tell you exactly what information they need to access during a repair, and they'll have measures in place to protect that information.
That makes me feel better already. But it's not just about data privacy, is it?
Nope. There's also the issue of ethically sourced parts.
Oh, right, because we don't want to be supporting companies that are using conflict minerals or exploiting workers, right?
Exactly. A responsible technician will make sure their parts are coming from reputable suppliers who follow ethical labor and environmental practices.
So it's like fair trade, but for phone parts. I like it.
Right. It's about making conscious choices that benefit everyone. And speaking of conscious choices, we can't forget about the environmental impact of all this tech.
Oh, yeah, e-waste is a huge problem. All those old phones and laptops just piling up in landfill.
Exactly. Which is why a good technician will always try to repair a device before suggesting a replacement.
So it's like reduce, reuse, recycle, but for electronics.
Exactly. It's about extending the life of these devices as long as possible to minimize their environmental impact.
That's awesome. I'm starting to think mobile device technicians are kind of like superheroes. They're protecting our data, they're saving the planet, they're even rescuing our beloved devices from the brink of disaster.
Huh. I like the way you think. But you're right. There's definitely a certain level of heroism to it.
Totally. So, to wrap things up, what would you say is the biggest takeaway for our listeners who are considering this career path?
I would say if you're passionate about technology, if you love to solve problems, and if you're looking for a career that's both challenging and rewarding.
Yeah, ethical. Don't forget ethical.
Yes, of course, ethical too. Then mobile device technician might just be the perfect fit for you.
I think so too. It's a career with a bright future, and it's only going to become more important as technology continues to evolve.
Absolutely. So if you're ready to dive into the exciting world of tech repair, head on over to RoleCatcher's website. They've got everything you need to get started.
They really do. And on that note, we're going to power down this deep dive. Huge thanks to RoleCatcher for providing such incredible insights. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this tech-tastic journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those devices running smoothly.